Welcome to ProEnergy site. Mission statement: increasing the production and quality of our products and services, while improving the health and safety of our employees and maintaining the environment. Active participation of all employees. Proactively address new EHS issues. Continuous improvement. Training programs. Employee rewards. Site security. All workers must report to the security gate and sign in or out. If there is no security gate or guard, report to the main construction office. All visitors and workers will have a site orientation allowing them to access the construction site. Visitors must be escorted. All workers will ensure that they sign the morning toolbox talk. Training. Workers will participate in all safety and related training that is necessary to minimize losses of human and physical resources of the company. This training will include, but not be limited to, new hire safety orientations and job-specific training. Competent. An OSHA-competent person is defined as one who is capable of identifying existing and predictable hazards in the surroundings or working conditions which are unsanitary, hazardous, or dangerous to employees, and who has authorization to take prompt corrective measures to eliminate them. Weekly safety meetings and stand-downs. Weekly safety meetings are formal scheduled meetings with all of the project employees. The topics discussed may be varied, although it is suggested that one or two main topics be the focus of the meeting. These meetings should take on a weekly basis and could involve a guest speaker, visual aids, training videos, or question and answer periods. Such meetings would take 30 minutes to 1 hour. Safety stand-downs. In a construction setting, the term safety stand-down is used to describe a wide variety of activities where normal work is paused and the entire site focuses on a particular safety issue. While some employers may use stand-downs to call attention to specific hazards present on their site as an intervention. Worksite inspections. ProEnergy conducts regular hazard inspections. Scheduled inspections are performed by workers in management to look for existing and potential hazards on our job sites. Once hazards have been identified and prioritized, controls will be developed and implemented in a timely manner. Inspection details are shared with subcontractors and employees at our safety meetings. Follow-up is required to properly control losses to people, property, and processes. Drug and alcohol policy. The company is committed to the health, safety, and productivity of its employees and is determined to maintain a drug-free and alcohol-free workplace. Employees are hereby notified that the unlawful or unauthorized manufacture, distribution, possession, use, or abuse of a controlled substance, unlawful drugs, or alcohol is prohibited anywhere on company premises or while performing company business. Further, employees are prohibited from reporting to work or performing their duties while under the influence of any controlled substance, unlawful drugs, or alcohol, as this may impact their ability to perform their job or otherwise pose safety concerns. The only exception is when the use is pursuant to a licensed medical practitioner's instructions and the licensed medical practitioner has authorized the employee or individual to report to work. Workplace violence policy. ProEnergy does not tolerate workplace violence. The company defines workplace violence to include actions or words that endanger or harm an individual or company property. It also includes actions or words that result in a reasonable belief by others that either they, other individuals, or their property are in danger. Under this policy, any acts or threats that the company considers to be related to violence, including but not limited to intimidation, instilling fear in others, bullying, stalking, verbal or physical aggression or harassment, and/or coercion undertaken for the purpose of domination or intimidation, will not be tolerated in any form. This behavior is absolutely prohibited regarding anyone connected to the company, including employees, customers, vendors, and other visitors. Any violence issue will be dealt with the proper authorities, and the sheriff or police will be called in. Cell phone policy. We won't allow employees to play games on the cell phone during working hours. Use phones for any reason while driving a company vehicle. Bluetooth is acceptable. Use cell phone as camera or microphone to record confidential information. Use phones in areas where cell use is explicitly prohibited. Example, confined spaces, high LEL areas, etc. Speak on phones within earshot of colleagues' working space during working hours. Workers are allowed to use their phones to make business calls, to use productivity apps, to check important messages, to make brief personal calls away from the working space. Expecting a call? Let your foreman know. Disciplinary consequences. Our company retains the right to monitor employees for excessive or inappropriate use of their cell phones. If an employee's phone usage causes a decline in productivity or interferes with our operations, ProEnergy will ban that employee from using their cell phones. Personal headphones. OSHA discourages their use in the workplace because they prevent the wearer from receiving auditory cues about the surrounding environment, and because they are ineffective at preventing noise-related damage to the ears. Equipment in motion. Wearing personal headphones in the workplace also presents a hazard for personnel. Operating moving equipment such as lift trucks. For the operator of moving equipment, auditory cues in the environment can be essential elements of safety. Verbal directions or even orders for an emergency stop can be obscured by the use of personal headphones. Distractions. Personal headphones present a distraction to the worker wearing them. In a high-risk situation such as crane operations, or personal headphones will interfere with the use of radio equipment used to control such operations. Such distractions can lead to injury or death should a worker become trapped or crushed by a moving load. Employee rights. You have the right to a safe workplace. OSHA requires employers to provide a workplace that is free of serious recognized hazards and in compliance with OSHA standards. Specifically, you have the right to get training from your employer as required by OSHA standards. Harassment policy. ProEnergy, in cooperation with our employees, is committed to a healthy, harassment-free work environment for all our employees. To this extent, a company-wide policy has been developed intended to prevent harassment of its employees and to deal quickly and effectively with any incident that might occur. Safety violation policy. Disciplinary measures could result from an infraction against the rules and policies of ProEnergy, or other site owner-specific requirements, government or municipal rules and regulations, etc. ProEnergy utilizes a three-tiered system. 1. Verbal reprimand. 2. Written reprimand. 3. Termination of employment. Employees are advised of the disciplinary policy and their responsibilities during orientation. Documentation of any disciplinary action shall be maintained at the ProEnergy site office. The incident shall be reported to the owner's representative and be documented in their reporting system. All disciplinary actions will be reported immediately, and depending on the nature of the incident, the appropriate level of safety meeting will be held to address the violation. Site safety absolutes. Not tied off above 6 feet, where fall protection is required. Entering without a confined space permit. Working without a hot work permit. Improper lockout-tagout procedures. Violation of pipe break procedures. Improper scaffolding procedures. Of critical lift plan procedures. Being under the influence of or in the possession of alcohol or drugs. Operating equipment without the proper authority or qualifications. Horseplay. Horseplay is an activity that usually starts out with harmless intentions, but may result in serious injury. Using tools or equipment in a manner for which they weren't designed can create unsafe situations. Review the following tips and guidelines to help ensure a safe and productive work environment. Do not disable or circumvent safety controls on equipment or machinery in any way. Do not purposely startle someone. Doing so could create a reaction where the person could fall into equipment or get a limb caught in a pinch point, among other injuries. Do not use equipment for any purpose other than what it was designed to do. Do not play practical jokes on people. Do not lose your job over a joke. Smoking policy. No smoking or other use of tobacco products including, but not limited to, cigarettes, pipes, cigars, is permitted in any part of the building or in vehicles owned, leased, or rented by ProEnergy. Employees may smoke outside in designated areas. Smoking or otherwise using tobacco or similar products outside. Do not leave cigarette butts or other traces of litter or tobacco on the ground or anywhere else. Vaping discussed after site-specific. Ergonomic hazards. Ergonomics is the science of ergonomic studies and evaluates a full range of tasks including, but not limited to, lifting, holding, pushing, walking, and reaching. Ergonomic hazards are avoided primarily by effective design of a job or job site and better designed tools or equipment that meet workers' needs in terms of physical environment and job tasks. Heavy equipment. All mobile equipment used on site will be subject to daily inspection and documented. Heavy-duty hoisting such as cranes and forklifts will require recent proof of engineering inspections. Operators of all hoisting or powered mobile equipment must provide proof of competency to operate such equipment. All mobile equipment to have backup alarms. Spotters to be used in tight areas. Aerial lifts. Workers using aerial lifts are to be trained in the use of aerial lifts. A competency requirement might be administered. Workers to complete the aerial work inspection sheet prior to using the lift. Pre-checks, what to look for, fluid levels, belts, tires, rims, lug nuts, fire extinguisher, leaks, broken or loose parts, tie-off points, all warning placards in place, gauges, lights, ground platform controls, alarms, emergency, brake steering, travel speeds, operating manual. Hazards. Is work area safe? Is ground firm, flat and level? Are barricades required? Environmental conditions? Spotter required? Electrical safety. The distance you must keep from energized electrical lines varies with the line voltage. Fall protection. Workers trained in fall protection. Requirements: identify and evaluate fall hazards around the workplace, ensure the proper selection of fall protection equipment is used. Fall protection equipment must be inspected prior to use. All employees are given the appropriate level of training to perform work that involves fall protection. 100% fall protection required. Workers are required to tie off at 6 feet or as directed, unless there is danger below. A fall protection plan should be developed. PFAS consists of a full body harness, shock-absorbing lanyard, locking snap hooks, anchor point, with impact weight of 5,000 pounds. Leading-edge work includes work in areas with exposed floor or wall openings, missing handrails, or other similar fall hazards. Leading-edge work barriers must be set up a minimum of 6 feet back. Hoisting and rigging. There are many requirements when it comes to hoisting materials with cranes, derricks, hoists and other lifting equipment. These requirements are as follows: all lifting equipment must be certified and have a safe working load established by the manufacturer or by a registered professional engineer. Proper hoisting techniques to be used by qualified operators and rigger. Barricades and flagging. Barricades and flagging might be required for hazardous work. Spotters are used to control an area. When spotters cannot be used, flagging or barriers will be set up. Red danger do not enter is used where danger is imminent. Only those personnel involved in the work are allowed in these. Yellow caution provides a warning that a hazard exists in the area, and workers accessing this area must exercise caution. Scaffolding. Scaffolds must be erected and dismantled by competent scaffolders. Workers are to inspect the scaffold tag and ensure that it has been signed off at the beginning of the day or weekly sign-offs. Do not enter a scaffold if there is no scaffold tag, or is marked with a red tag, or flagged off with danger tape. Yellow scaffold tags means that there are some hazards, example, low beams, piping, open holes, fall protection might be required. Scaffolds and components shall support 4 times its intended load without failure. All scaffolds shall be erected and maintained in accordance with regulatory and engineering requirements and standards. Employees shall comply with ProEnergy ladders and scaffolding and fall protection. Ladders. Each worker must inspect ladders visually before using. Ladders must be erected at a 4:1 ratio. If it is necessary to place a ladder in or over a doorway, barricade the door and post warning signs. Metal ladders must not be used for electrical welding or near electric laser services. Ladders must be tied off at the top and must extend at least 3 feet beyond the supporting object. Worker must maintain 3-point contact at all times. Respiratory protection. Air contaminants. Hazardous atmospheres come from a variety of sources: dusts, aerosol, mists, metal fumes, evaporated vapors, released gases, oxygen-deficient atmospheres. Many operations generate air contaminating metal, parts spraying operations, welding. Proper respirators or dust masks are required. Workers will have to have a quantitative fit test prior to using a respirator or dust mask. PPE and specialized PPE. Hard hats, eye protection, boots, hearing protection, reflective vest, gloves, specialized PPE. Specialized PPE to be used as per task requirement. A hazard assessment should be done, example, fire-rated clothing, protection, face shields, etc. Workers to be trained in the proper use of PPE. All PPE is to be inspected prior to use. Falling objects. Falling objects stop the drop. Use tool lanyards or spider straps. Capture tools by putting plywood on grating. Welding blankets or drop sheets. Secure tools using disposable bag containers. Control the drop. Limit the area where falling objects could land or bounce to. Barricade or flag the area off. Lead. Before work is performed on any painted surface, a swipe test should be conducted to determine if lead is present. Swipe kits might be available in the tool room. The area that the work is to be performed on must be abated prior to work commencing. This includes any hot work, sawing, cutting, drilling, sanding, etc. Asbestos. Prior to renovation, demolition, or other removal activity, the work area shall be tested for asbestos. All asbestos removal, inspections, testing, sampling, and disposal work will be conducted by a qualified asbestos removal contractor. Compressed gas. Compressed gases can be toxic, flammable, oxidizing, corrosive, or inert. In the event of a leak, inert gases can quickly displace air in a large area, creating an oxygen-deficient atmosphere, while toxic gases can create poison atmospheres, and flammable or reactive gases can result in fire and exploding cylinders. In addition, there are hazards from the pressure of the gas and the physical weight of the cylinder. A gas cylinder falling over can break containers and crush feet. The cylinder can itself become a missile if the cylinder valve is broken off. Gas cylinders require to be secured and transported properly. Controlled products. A material safety data sheet is an information resource for a specific chemical. Each hazardous chemical at the facility will have an MSDS sheet. They are developed by the chemical manufacturer. The MSDS SDS sheet is divided into number sections that provide specific information. So it is important that you know how to read an MSDS sheet. MSDS books can be located at the main construction office and the tool crib. Workers required to be trained in controlled products and use. Workers to wear proper PPE. Workers should have a MSDS sheet out in the field as per task assignment. Material handling. Keep all tools in good condition with regular maintenance. Use the right tool for the job. Examine tools for damage before each use. Operate per the manufacturer's instructions. Use the proper protective equipment, example, equipment guards. Test the ground fault circuit interrupter before each use. Visually inspect extension cords for damage, cracked insulation, broken plugs, signs of burns, or taped repairs. All damaged tools shall be tagged damage do not use and be removed from service. Assured grounding tests shall be completed by competent person. Color coding. Quarterly inspections on power cords and tools, ladders, rigging and fall protection will be tagged. Permits. Permits issued out by ProEnergy or the client. Daily contractor work permits. Locked out tag out permits. Excavation permits. Hot work permits. Confined space permits. Critical lift permits. Energized electrical work permits. Emergency evacuation procedures. During evacuation procedures, the following has to be done. All equipment will be shut down, windows will be closed, no smoking. Workers to assemble to muster area. If main muster area, workers must assemble to secondary muster area as directed by the safety designate. The accounting of all personnel shall be done at that time. Anyone missing from the list will need to be identified. An all clear will be given and workers will be allowed to go back to Regal. Know where the alarms are. In the event of an emergency, an air horn might be used. Radios, phones, and verbal means also. Air horns are located in the main construction trailer, tool crib or when doing specialized task. Workers will have air horns at task location. 3 loud blasts of the horn will constitute a muster assembly. Contact management to request an ambulance, fire department, spill response. Contact name and numbers will be given at the end of the site orientation. Hazard near miss. The goal of the hazard near miss reporting program is to help eliminate hazards before they become accidents. When a person encounters a hazardous condition, the employee must immediately assess their personal safety and the safety of others in the area. That person is required to take actions to mitigate the hazardous condition. If a near-miss event occurs, the incident must be immediately reported to management. A hazard near-miss report must be generated. Incident reporting. If you are injured on the job or are involved in an accident, you are required to immediately report the injury or accident, no matter how minor it may seem, to your supervisor. All accidents resulting in injuries shall be reported to management and the safety department. If your supervisor is available, he or she should be immediately notified in all cases. If your supervisor is not available, anyone present should notify any supervisor or management person and seek appropriate medical care as soon as possible. When an employee is involved in an on-the-job accident and incurs a work-related injury, ProEnergy reserves the right to require an immediate medical examination of the employee involved. ProEnergy maintains a comprehensive employee health and safety program and considers the safety and well-being of each of its employees in performing his or her work duties is of utmost importance. In the rare event that you are involved in a work-related accident, as a condition for accepting employment with ProEnergy, you agree to abide by the workers' compensation laws, as outlined Department of Labor and Industry. ProEnergy must keep all written records of on-the-job accidents and injuries, as required by state law, federal law, and the company's workers' compensation insurance carrier. Medication. If you are allergic or have a medical condition, mention it to your supervisor. If you require an EpiPen, let someone know where they can access it. All first aid treatments are to be recorded in the first aid log. Modified Workers Program. ProEnergy has a Modified Workers Program. All workers will participate in this program. All modified work will ensure that we respect the physical limitation of the workers, as per medical assessment. Basic causes of accidents: lifting, fatigue, dehydration, poor lighting, acts of workplace violence, stress. Before work starts, proper hazard assessments, site inspections, safe work procedures to be developed prior to morning toolbox talk. Communication with management and workers is vital. Hierarchy of controls. Hierarchy of controls. Elimination, the hazard. Substitution, replace the hazard. Engineering controls isolate people from the hazard. Administrative controls change the way people work. PPE, protect the worker with personal protective equipment. Field Level Risk Assessment (FLRA) or Job Hazard Assessment (JSA) is a way for workers and crews to identify hazards associated with work tasks and assess their risks on the day of the job. Put controls in place so that risks are kept to an acceptable level. FLRA or JSA is a way for companies to learn how to decrease risk and increase the reliability of work, reduce the number and associated costs of incidents, accidents, and injury. FLRA JSA has tools that help workers stop, think, and put controls in place. They are to be completed prior to task. Environmental. When a large chemical spill has occurred, immediately notify supervision. Contain the spill with available equipment with pads, booms, absorbent powder, etc. Secure the area and alert other site personnel. Do not attempt to clean the spill unless trained to do so. Attend to injured personnel and call the medical emergency number, if required. When a small chemical spill has occurred, notify supervision or site safety. If toxic fumes are present, secure the area to prevent other personnel from entering. Deal with the spill in accordance with the instructions described in the SDS. Small spills must be handled in a safe manner while wearing the proper PPE. Contact the proper environmental agencies. Waste minimization. Workers to separate all waste and put into individual bins. Garbage, wood, steel, electrical. Contact names and emergency numbers will be given at the end of the site orientation. Conclusion. Thank you for watching the site-specific orientation. Your safety designate will be right with you. Fill out the orientation form and complete the short orientation quiz. Any questions? Any other site-specific concerns will be discussed at this time. Get ready for site walk-around or wait for further instructions.